my mom's sleep apnea story. How fixing your sleep can improve your life. When I talk about my mom's sleep apnea story, please think about your story. Let's turn ourselves into detectives on the trail and the quest for your own good health. Is it possible that you have a health problem related to your sleep and you don't even know it? In my mom's case, she had weight gain, depression, high blood pressure, diabetes, and headaches. But these were just clues to a bigger problem. The main culprit behind my mother's health issues was her underlying struggle to breathe. When my mother went to sleep, she didn't breathe very well. And when you don't breathe very well, it stresses all your body functions. Finding out what went wrong in my mother's health depended on 3 key points to help us gain insight and control over her health. Number 1, awareness. What happens in your sleep? When we're asleep, and unbeknownst to us when we're asleep, do we struggle to breathe? And what does that struggle to breathe do to our health and to our well-being? 2, checking. How do you check? How do we find out if we breathe very well? 3 is action. What do we do if we need to breathe better? As I mentioned in my mom's case, about 10 years ago she had some health issues. And I felt that really the only way I could support her was emotional support. It never entered my mind that I could help her in any other way. And that's where we come to key point 1, awareness. I happened to be a dentist, and about that time I went to a continuing education class that talked about how the teeth come together. And part of that class about how the teeth come together was what the teeth do at night. And this class opened up a whole new perspective for me. Grinding during sleep is related to the struggle to breathe. When we're sitting here, this airway is open and we get good airflow in and out. Sometimes when we're asleep, that goes wrong. When we sleep, the muscles relax, that airway can collapse a little bit. The jaw falls back, the tongue falls back, and that long pink tissue that hangs down from the top of your mouth can fall into your airway. And your airway collapses. When you grind, that jaw comes forward, the back of the tongue comes forward, the back of the soft palate comes forward, the muscles tighten and your airway opens. Many people are very unaware that they grind their teeth, but as a dentist, we can see it because it shows up as worn, flat, smooth surfaces that fit perfectly against the opposite teeth, like a puzzle. Perfect. And I've always wondered why so many of us grind our teeth, cause so much wear and destruction to our teeth, and all the other theories really didn't feel adequate. But this made sense. Well, no wonder we grind. We need to breathe. No wonder we grind. We need to live. We grind to survive. This absolutely mesmerized me, and I mean focused on learning more about this part of our life that we sleep through. And what I learned is a lot of times, or maybe most of the times, grinding is not enough, and that airway collapses. When that airway collapses, there is no airflow. When there is no airflow, all the body systems alarms start ringing. The primitive brain pulls you out of deep sleep into light sleep and send off alarm systems to every body function to wake up. The survival mechanisms kick in and you get breathing until you get to relaxing. And then the survival mechanisms kick in and you get breathing until you relax. And that can go on and on and on. Some people snore when they're doing this struggle to breathe. Some people are very quiet. They have hidden insidious struggle to breathe, and they don't snore. You would think that you would know about this struggle to breathe, but your brain needs sleep as well as oxygen. So it sort of hovers in this light sleep and then orchestrates just enough to allow breathing. When your brain does this much work to live, it cannot go into the good sleep. It cannot go into deep sleep or dream sleep. So you get no restorative or healthy sleep. Well, what do we do if we don't even know that this is happening to us? That leads us to key point 2. We get checked. And you need to be tested. Right now, we are going to simulate what that sleep study measures. We are going to simulate the struggle to breathe so that you can experience it while you are awake. We're going to do 2 short tests, and please start breathing if you feel lightheaded. The first test is just going to simulate a closed airway, which means we're just going to hold our breath, which sounds easy, but in sleep, your airway closes after you exhale. So we're going to exhale and then hold our breath. How did that feel? As uncomfortable as that was, it's worse in your sleep. In your sleep, your brain is trying to still breathe. So when we breathe, this diaphragm or this wall of muscle underneath our lungs pulls down, and it creates a vacuum that pulls in air. And as adults, we breathe 12 to 20 times a minute. So our next and last test is just going to be a simulation of a closed airway with the effort to breathe, which normally happens when you're asleep and your airway's closed. It's just going to be a very short 10-second test, breathing 2 or 3 times. So we're going to breathe out, close our nose, and hold and try to breathe. So how does that feel? When your diaphragm pulls down and the airway is closed, it creates a negative pressure in your chest. Your heart's in your chest. That unpleasant sensation you just felt was your heart contracting or beating in that negative pressure that was created in your chest. We just simulated 2 very, very short struggles to breathe that can happen over and over and over all night long in so many of us, and we don't even know it. The struggle to breathe during sleep causes us to have much more likely to have a heart attack. We are 2 to 3 times more likely to have a stroke, and we are 3 times at a higher risk for premature death. This struggle to breathe causes us to gain weight. It causes us to have depression or anxiety, erectile dysfunction, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and insomnia. The struggle to breathe makes us so sleepy we are 2.5 times more likely to be the driver in a car accident. Women as well as men struggle to breathe, and women get worse after menopause. All this awareness of what can happen during the struggle to breathe made me want to check my mother. So we had her tested. And in my mother's sleep test, she struggled to breathe, or she stopped breathing for 10 seconds or more, 21 times an hour. That's about once every 3 minutes. Well, that leads us right into key point 3, action. We need some action. What do we do to help us breathe when that airway closes? In 1979, a wonderful Australian physician, brilliant, took a vacuum cleaner and reversed it and created positive pressure that went into the airway with a little mask and allowed the airway to stay open so you could breathe. It is now continuous positive air pressure. About that same time, a small dental device was developed that held the airway open and without forced air. Somewhat like a night guard, it is a FDA-approved custom sleep breathing device that holds the airway open and allows free breathing. Both of these treatments will stop snoring, which makes the bed partner happy because the bed partner can now sleep better. But we needed action from my mother, and our first action from my mother, we tried CPAP. Unfortunately, CPAP was scary to my mother. She felt like she couldn't breathe. She felt like she was suffocating, so she got panicky and very anxious and would not wear CPAP. She still needed to breathe in her sleep, so I put on my learning cap and I made her my very first FDA-approved custom sleep breathing device. And she could wear it. She did not stress with that, so she could wear it and she felt better. But I wanted to make sure that she was actually breathing in her sleep. So we did another sleep study while she was wearing the device. And without the device, she stopped breathing 21 times an hour. With the device, she stopped breathing once, just once, which is considered absolutely normal. So a device just exactly like this one helped my mother to breathe normally. Whoa, that felt wonderful. I felt so grateful that I had the awareness that led me to checking, that led me to action. Now, the take-home message is not that you need to do an oral device. CPAP machines work beautifully. But if you can't tolerate a CPAP machine, there is another option. Chief Justice Anton Scalia died in his sleep, not using his CPAP, and it was sitting on his bedside table, not being used. If you struggle with CPAP, there is another option. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine recommends treatment for your sleep breathing problems, either a CPAP or a dental device. Star Wars actress Carrie Fisher died in her sleep. Her medical examiner indicated that her struggle to breathe was a contributing factor to her death, and it is not clear that she even knew she had it. Bottom line, you can struggle to breathe and not even know it. But today, you now have the tools to be a detective in your own health. You have the tools. Awareness. Not breathing well in your sleep causes many problems, and not breathing well in your sleep is something you may not even know that you're doing. 2, be checked, be tested to find out whether you breathe well in your sleep. And 3, take action. If you struggle to breathe at night, use a CPAP or an oral device to help you breathe well and sleep well. Go explore your sleep to gain control over your life and the way you feel and your health. Waking up after a good night's sleep is the best way to start a new chapter in your story. Thank you.